Walter Sullivan spent 36 years in prison for a crime that he did not commit. The conviction was rape. 36 years. Some might be thinking, well, he's free. He's out. Well, how do you make this man whole again? You give him $1 million, you give him $20,000, you give him $5 million. I truly believe that you cannot make him whole again. What is he supposed to do? So he applies at an entry-level position. Okay, so for employment history, past employment history, what is Walter supposed to put on his application? None? I mean, the guy was in prison since he was 17. He's well into his 50s. Any employer looking at his application are going to wonder, where was Walter? Why doesn't he have one job under his belt? And then for residents, is he supposed to put Department of Corrections? Think about that. Guys and gals, if this angers you, and it should, I hope that it angers you into a course of action. Now, there's a lot of people, there's millions of people right now that are yelling out these anti-police chants and these social justice, equity chants as well, and putting all types of hashtags out there. But there's something that you can do, and this is a career position. So once again, if this angers you, instead of burning down cities and spending your whole entire day with social injustice hashtags and sharing all types of other videos that call for social equity, and I get it, we need this. We need social equity. But let's do something about it. So if this video angers you, or this situation angers you, you could become a criminal defense investigator. Criminal defense investigator. It's not for everybody. I've tried it, and it just wasn't for me. I worked a murder defense case. I was assigned to the indigent panel, criminal defense, but it just wasn't for me. But I know there's a lot of people out there who are just tired. They're sick and tired of the social injustice. And this is a career path for you. So what do you normally need? It just depends on the state. In California, you would need to be hired by the criminal defense panel of that county or of that state. Unfortunately, you need a certain number of years of investigations experience. Most of the time as a criminal defense investigator or as a law enforcement investigator. And normally it's 3 years, sometimes it's 5 years, sometimes it's 10. So that actually already blocks the pathway to employment. Now, we do need qualified candidates for these positions. You can't just throw anybody out into the streets. But I'll tell you this, there are people out there that are passionate about this, that are willing to learn. And I believe that there should be entry-level positions for those of you who are calling a stop to social injustice. They should make positions out there. And there's some, but they're a dime a dozen. Another route that you can take in California, you can be a private investigator and be assigned to a criminal defense panel. You can also subcontract your work to criminal defense attorneys, and the county in the state of California, many counties pay for indigent defense. Now, the pay should be somewhere around how much a criminal prosecution investigator, so the law enforcement investigator, the pay should be similar. In my opinion, it should be. It's often not, but it should be similar. My law enforcement partners, some of them, when they look at people going from law enforcement into criminal defense, they call that zone the black zone, or the black side, or the dark side of things. but I don't think that's necessarily accurate. You see, when you're working criminal defense, you bring to light a lot of the social injustice situations that are out there. And if you're able to overturn a case where somebody is innocent, is in fact innocent, there's not money in the world that would make you feel as good as you do when you're able to accomplish this mission. It's a great feeling. Also, those of you who are criminal defense investigators, I believe that you are the second, sometimes the first gatekeeper of the justice system. Law enforcement detectives has to work a lot harder in order to maintain integrity of the case. What happened with Walter is just an injustice, and I'm calling on all law enforcement officers. If you're out there and you're not disclosing evidence, what ended up happening was the investigators in that situation, they did not disclose exculpatory evidence. Exculpatory evidence is basically evidence that tends to show that the defendant is innocent. They didn't disclose that. Every law enforcement officer that I train, I make it a point for them to disclose all exculpatory evidence. It's only fair. It keeps law enforcement honest. If you're wondering what do you do as a criminal defense investigator, well, you uncover exculpatory evidence. You look for that. You do a good job at it. It's a tough job to do, but again, instead of complaining about the inequity of the social justice system and remaining to be unemployed, seek out those opportunities. And also, what I encourage you to do, if you're interested and you have the passion of being a criminal defense investigator, get a lot of other people who are like-minded and petition to the county or the state and say, hey, can you modify the requirements and create an entry-level position so that somebody that has entry-level training is able to apply for these positions and have a good chance of getting them. Because right now, I just know it. I feel one of you out there. And you're tired of all of this social inequity in the justice system. And you want to do something about it. Direct all that energy into creating these entry-level positions for criminal defense investigations. For your private investigators, those of you who want to take the private investigator route, you need 3 years of private investigation experience. When you have that experience and you have your private investigator license, you can apply to these counties. Unfortunately, the pathway to you in California is blocked because how else are you going to get 3 years of investigation experience? You have to be a police officer, a detective, an investigator with another law enforcement agency. Or you could be a public service investigator. So maybe you work as an investigator for a law firm, for the city attorney's office. But normally those positions require a law enforcement investigations background as well. So those pathways are blocked. So I encourage you to encourage these agents out there to create these entry-level positions so that you can be a champion for justice. You guys all take care and be safe, and I encourage you to take the career path that you want to. In the description box below, I'll leave a link to my book called The California Legal Investigator. This is the #1 book that is sold out there that helps candidates for private investigator licenses in California obtain their private investigator license. It can help you pass the exam. If you're not using it for the exam, it can help you gain a good knowledge base of the laws that govern how private investigators work in California as well. When Cal State Fullerton had their private investigator program, this book was actually on the syllabus. And this book is normally in the top 100. It's been the #1 book quite a bit of times. Usually in the top 50, sometimes 70. But hey, a lot of people say a lot of good things about my book.